What's up, everybody? Reba Reebs back at it again with another story time and weightlifting session. So, as I mentioned before, all my stories are factual, but this one takes you on a little bit of a ride. So, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. So, I reside in North Carolina. Lovely, rich culture, North Carolina. Still very southern, even though it's North Carolina. So, a lot has happened in North Carolina, and the story that I'm going to tell you today is one of those stories. This is the story of Bitter Blood. It is a book and a TV show, so if you want to know more, go check it out. This is the story of Susie Newsom and Tom Lynch. Now, they were married, and this takes place around in the summer of 1981. They were married, and they decided that, their marriage just wasn't working out. So, what any normal couple would do, they're going through a divorce. But one of the things that's complicated about this divorce is the fact that they have two sons, John and Jim. Now, their divorce got a little sticky when it came to the custody battle of them because both parents wanted full custody of their children. However, one didn't want to give it up to the other. Now, shortly after the divorce, Susie decided to get jiggy. Now, of all the people she could get jiggy with, she decided to get jiggy with her first cousin, Fritz. Now, if incest doesn't get under your skin enough, Fritz was the type of guy who started a medical practice without a degree or a license. All right, so back to Susie and Tom. So, like I said, Susie and Tom were going through this divorce, and everything seemed like your typical normal divorce in the sense of, there was some bad blood between the two. But the thing that got really tricky or really sticky in this situation was family members on either side of the family started dying, which kind of turned some heads. So, the first to go was actually Tom's mother and his sister. Now, they lived all the way out in Kentucky, and they were murdered in cold blood, shot in their homes with no one to blame. And I wasn't going to say anything, sorry. So, next up on the murder block was actually Susie's dad, mother, and grandmother. Now, there was a big similarity in which the way they died compared to Tom's family. So, just like Tom's family, Susie's family was shot and murdered in their North Carolina home. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Hot damn, Tom killed Susie's family. Susie kills Tom's family. Who's going to kill who next? But there's one key that you're missing, and it's the fact that Bob, Susie's father, was actually planning to testify against Susie in the custody battle that Tom and Susie were in. So, as it seems, the tables have turned on Susie. In the summer of 1985, the police started to suspect Susie and Fritz were working together to kill the family members. So the Greensboro police decided to roll up on Susie and Fritz. Fritz, however, wasn't having it. So when the police got there, he opened fire on them. This allowed for Susie and her two sons and Fritz to escape in their SUV and flee. This low-speed chase didn't really last for that long. However, Fritz at some point was able to get out of his car and open fire on the police yet again. Now, it's assumed that Susie and Fritz had this thought out because the SUV was actually laid with dynamite. Fritz, being out of the car, opening up fire on the police, ignited that dynamite, killing Susie and her two sons. It didn't initially kill Fritz. Fritz actually died a few minutes later of internal hemorrhaging. After the fact, the police found out from the autopsy reports that the two sons actually ingested a toxic amount of cyanide, and they were shot at a point-blank range, meaning that at some point before they got into the SUV, the sons were assumed to be somewhat unconscious. And then later on during the shootout, Susie had to be the one to have shot them point-blank. What was also found in the apartment was 30,000 rounds of ammunition, illegal military-grade explosives, and more dynamite. After further digging, they also found that Fritz, lo and behold, was an admirer of Adolf Hitler and an active member in the KKK. All right, so I'll leave you with one last fact. A neighbor later confessed in court that he was manipulated by Fritz to help in the murders of Susie's relatives. Now, this answers your question of how they were committed. Fritz got the neighbor to drive him to the locations, and Fritz did the dirty work. Fritz was known in the community as being a very manipulative, conniving man. After all, he did start a medical practice without a license or a degree. Now, you may find this story a little bit different than my stories that I've been doing recently with storytime and weightlifting. It is still true and is still very interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, I'll see you later.